John C. Maxwell's The Five Levels of Leadership is a well-regarded framework that outlines the progression of leadership capabilities and influence. It's a fascinating book, and here with me to discuss is Ike Reighard, who's a certified trainer for the Five Levels of Leadership with John Maxwell, and someone I've known for many years, and I'm excited to have on the show today. So, Ike, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mickey. I'm excited to be a part of your broadcast today.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Tell the folks a bit about yourself, if they don't know who you are.
Well, I've been around for quite a while. Love leadership. Leadership to me is one of the most fun aspects of my life. Helping to train leaders. I've been in the ministry sector for over 50 years and have the opportunity to be the president and CEO of a nonprofit organization called Must Ministries, which will serve over 75,000 unique individuals this year that are battling poverty in their life. So those are the areas that I work in, and going out and sharing on leadership is something that I love to do.
Awesome. And for any of you that are in the Marietta, Kennesaw area, I'm sure you know what Must Ministries is, and I'm sure you probably know who Dr. Ike is as well. So this will be a fantastic little discussion. So I figure there's 5 levels of leadership, so let's talk about the 5 levels. You know, level 1 is position. I've heard it said it's a great place to start, but you wouldn't want to live there. So, yeah, tell us about level 1 and what that looks like.
Level 1 is when you just say position, it's like having a title. It's about rights. And people follow you because they have to. You know, you have the title of boss or you have the title of manager. And so people are going to follow you just simply because of the position that you're in. And for me, leadership, and the word leading is a verb. It's something that's active. It's not a noun. It's something that you're doing all the time. And we all lead in different sectors of our life, but the lowest level is just simply because you have the position.
Yep. And it sounds like that can be an issue sometimes too. There was a quote in the book, I think, from Abraham Lincoln there that said, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." So someone just gets that position and it can be troublesome.
Yeah, it can go to your head. And when it goes to your head, it's felt throughout the organization. And so it's really important that you combine something else with it called humility. If you can be a strong leader and you can also have that sense of humility, you're what Jim Collins calls in the book Good to Great a level 5 leader, which combines fierce determination along with great humility. Those are very odd to think of together. They're an unusual companion, and that's why Jim Collins says there's so few level 5 leaders.
Yep. Very cool. So level 2 is permission. The note I have here says leaders at this level focus on building relationships and gaining trust. So tell me more about this.
Because they want to. You know, you're the type of person they go, well, yeah, I like working for this person or working alongside this person. And so there's a synergy there because you are building relationships. And so you've moved beyond just the fact that you have the title boss or CEO or whatever that title might be, manager. And now you've moved into I'm building a relationship with this person, and as I build a relationship, I'm building the single greatest factor, I think, that you have to have if you're going to build a great team, and that's you got to build trust. You got to have trust in a marriage when you're building your team as a family. Trust is essential, and especially for organizations, Mickey, that are trying to change, because your level of trust determines your speed of change. The lower the level of trust, the longer it takes you to get things done. The higher the level of trust, the faster you can be more nimble and flexible and get things accomplished. So trust is a big part of beginning that permission, position.
Gotcha. And I see that probably both ways too. It's them trusting you as a leader, but you learning to trust your team. I see the best value I have is in trusting my team, knowing if I send Ashley an email with something to do, I don't have to follow up on it or set a reminder. Like, I know it's going to get done. And so I think it probably goes both ways. Is that sort of this level where it starts building the symbiotic trust?
You're exactly right. And, one of the great principles in life is I don't care how much energy you have. I don't care how much passion you possess. At some point, you will max out as an individual, and then your success or failure is going to be predicated on the people that you have the closest to you. And that's why, it may start with a position as far as that hierarchy is concerned. But then when you move into permission, people are following you because they want to. They genuinely sense that there's something worthwhile in linking up with this person and accomplishing your dreams and your hopes together.
Awesome. Well said. Level 3 is production. Leaders here focus on achieving results and productivity. And I pulled a ton of great quotes from it. The book had so many good quotes from people we've heard of. I'm not going to say all of them, but I love the one from John Wooden, famous basketball coach, who said, everyone who scores a basket has 10 hands, meaning you score a basket, it's because of the other 4 guys around you, and you work as a team to get it done.
Exactly right. So on the production level, it's all about results. On the position level, it's about your rights. On the permission level, it's about, relationships that you're establishing. And then when you move into this level, there's something unique about it. And the way that I would phrase it is people follow you because of what you've done for the entire organization. They're looking, we call it today in our vernacular, the body of work, right?
Yep.
And so they look at the body of work of what you're doing in the organization. And this is really important at this level because now you're building that team synergy. And people are seeing how they fit together. There's the story that's told of when John F. Kennedy made the declaration in his inauguration speech that in the 1960s that the United States would put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. That the technology wasn't there, the ability wasn't there, but he tossed out this great vision. And so he goes down to Cape Canaveral at the time, later to be renamed Cape Kennedy. And he was talking to everyone because they knew that it was going to take a very high level of production to accomplish this. And there was a gentleman standing over the side, kind of had on a white jumpsuit, and he was leaning on a broom. And it was obvious that he was a custodian there in the building. But John Kennedy, being John Kennedy, walked over and said, "So tell me, what do you do here?" And he said, "I'm helping to put a man on the moon." So when you can have everybody from the custodian up to those brilliant scientists in the military and everybody else that it takes, that they see their place in it, that's how you get production. It begins to make a difference. And when you work together as a team, there is a synergy where, putting together that team, the excitement and everything that happens there is really great. So it's all about results for the organization there.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a Peter Drucker quote in this chapter too. It says there are 2 types of people in the business community: those who produce results and those who give you reasons why they didn't. So yeah, I think that fits in real well to what you were just saying there too. So
Father of American management was a very wise man.
Yes, he was. So moving on up to level 4 is people development, helping develop others into leaders.
That's all about reproduction. And the difference between production, when we're talking about results, people are following you because of what you've done for the organization. But in the people development phase, people are following you because of what you've done for them. Now it becomes very personal at this stage. I have found, Mickey, I've been blessed. I worked for an organization where I was the chief people officer. And we had 1,600 people working for us, throughout the southeastern United States. And as the chief people officer, my job was to create an organization that was one of the 100 best places to work in America. And so we learned how to put that team together. And the biggest thing was, how do we develop those people? The holy grail in the HR world is you want to source great people. You're looking for really great people out there, and you're trying to find the right people to bring in your organization. Then your next step is, how do I get them engaged? How do I get people just really hooked in and they have a passion about the organization? And then your next stage is, I've got to retain those people. And I've found that people do not quit companies. People quit managers. Yeah. By far and away. It's, the person that was really in control of my future, I could never get any FaceTime with them. I could never find out, how can I move up in the organization? How How can I add more value in the organization? So that people development level right there, people are buying into you because they're looking, you've got a track record, you built the trust, and they're looking at their own life and they're going, okay, things are getting better for me because of this person and what they're doing for me in my life.
Gotcha. Very well said. I want to jump into level 5 now too, because I disagree with part of it. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So 5 is the pinnacle. And one thing they say in the book is the highest leadership accomplishment is developing other leaders to level 4. And so I think of folks like Nick Saban, coaches that have brought up other coaches. It felt like they've all reached his level though too. Like he's done so well. He's got them to that level. Whereas this is saying if you get them to 4, that's good enough. So what are your thoughts on leading others to become 4s versus seeing them bloom into 5s as well? And really, what is a 5 too?
Well, the 5 is more about respect. They call it the pinnacle in the book. And this is where people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. This is when you attract what I call A-level players into your organization, because people have heard what goes on within an organization. I always tell people whatever goes on in the back room shows up in the showroom, and people hear about an organization. I'll give you the perfect example. I just mentioned, that I was fortunate enough to be the chief people officer for a company that was on Fortune magazine's list of the 100 best places to work in America for 5 years in a row. Because of that, we developed a reputation. And every year when Fortune magazine would put out that issue, it comes out in late January, we would average about 1,200 people a month applying for a job over the next 6 months. It was absolutely incredible. And here's what people knew. People didn't get on that list unless that company was a really great place to work for. Because if you ask people, well, what makes a company a great place to work? If the people who work there say it is. And so it changes everything in your recruiting, because you've got people within the organization that are wanting family members and friends to come there and work because they see, that it is truly a great place. So I think organizations can hit, pinnacles as well, because people, want to be a part of that brand. They want to be associated with something that gives them a sense of pride. And the one thing about these levels, and you mentioned getting to level 4 is tough. And one of the things that leaders have to remember is that when you achieve a new level, you never leave the old level behind. This is a progression. This is stacking as you're moving up. And here's the other part that gets really tough. You're going to be on different levels with every relationship, and people are going to respond accordingly. I've just had a couple of new teammates who joined me on my must side of the world, and they're joining at a very high level because I've had several key people that have retired. And as much as I kept begging them, please don't, they were finally at that point and were at a station in life where they didn't have to work anymore. And so I've lost some key people around my table, and I'm going to be at a different level with them than other people around that table in my room, because some of them have been with me more than 10 years. And when you've been with someone 10 years and you work with them day in and day out, you know what they're about. There's a trust level that's built if you've kept your word and you've done the right things. And that's why, you're on different levels with every relationship that you have, and your people are going to respond accordingly. Now, for me, this is just me, I think the higher the level, the easier it is to lead. I've just found that seems to be, the thing that works for me. And perhaps that's because, the higher the level that you achieve, the more personal resources you have of time and energy as you're building a team around you, as you're getting great people around you. So, going up the levels, it occurs slowly. It takes time. Unfortunately, you can come down the ladder real quick if you're not careful. A reputation is much easier kept than it ever is regained.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never really heard of level 5 being applied to a business as a whole as well, but I would say from the outside looking in here in Cobb County, Must Ministries is a level 5 because people respect what y'all do. They love your mission. They love how well you run everything. So yeah, I think that is a good example of a level 5 business or company.
To say that today at a place called Jim R. Miller Park, they're doing the best of Cobb. And for 6 years in a row, they've had a category for the Marietta Daily Journal of, what's the best nonprofit. And we've been fortunate to be voted every year as the best nonprofit in Cobb. And there are some terrific nonprofits.
Right, there's big competition. There are amazing organizations around here.
There's places that I just love, like the Tommy Nobis Center. That works with people with special needs, and you've got Cobb Family Resources and Live Safe. I mean, I could just go on and on with great organizations, Sweetwater Mission that feeds so many people. And so for us to be chosen by people who live in our community, that's a brand. So yesterday, I was meeting one of those new staff members who've just come to us. Has lived in Cobb, worked for the Chamber of Commerce for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling me, she said, I always aspired to work for Must. and I asked her, I said, tell me why. Because you always want to know when you're bringing someone new into the organization, because, Mickey, I have this fundamental belief, time in an organization erodes your awareness of your organization.
That's fair. Yeah.
So it's always good when somebody new is coming in to say, okay, what are we missing? And, what do you see? And she was very kind and shared some of the things that we wouldn't want to be known for. And so, finding out from people like that makes a difference. But that reputation can help you to gain people, and that's just called influence. And that goes back to John Maxwell when he said leadership is influence. It's nothing more and it's nothing less. It's just about influence in people's lives.
Awesome. Now, we kind of breezed past the idea of when you go from level 1 to level 2, when you move up from level 2 to level 3, it's not just going to happen. You're not just strolling along and going up the levels. What kind of thoughts do you have on how people can work their way toward higher levels of leadership?
Well, you can't grow a leader in a day, but you grow a leader daily. It's the daily things that you do. Going up the levels is slow. Dropping down, as I said, can happen quickly. And the higher the level achieved, the higher the returns on your leadership. There's just things that happen. So if you're going to move up, then obviously you're going to have to grow. A great friend of mine that lives in our community is a consultant and an author is named Ira Blumenthal. And he was the first person to say to me that real power is never in the hands of the learned, it's in the hands of the learning. That you're learning something new every day, that you're getting better with your emotional intelligence, and you're making sure that you're doing the right things. And I don't think you should ever look at this and go, well, I'm going to deliberately climb the levels, so that I can get to a certain point. It's more about you begin to climb those stages by realizing you can't do it by yourself. If you can't climb the stages of leadership by yourself, your interaction with those on your team, your followers, is where it's going to happen. So very important that that we remember those things, and how you're perceived within that organization makes all the difference in the world.
Yep, for sure. So five levels of leadership, which I can't seem to say. John Maxwell. We've talked for 20 minutes here, and we've probably covered 1% of what we need to get into. So I encourage y'all to check out that book. And then Level 5 Leadership is a different book, but kind of covers some of the same concepts, about what it's like to lead at that level. So I encourage you to check it out. Ike, how can people find you and connect with you and see your organizations and find you online?
Find me on Twitter. That's a great place. It's Ike Reighard at Twitter, or at X now. And that's a great way to be able to do it. Instagram, same way. I stay a lot more on Twitter than I really do Instagram, because it is better to hear me and not see me. So I'm thankful this is a podcast. And Mickey, let me just say, I've known you for a long time. You are certainly one of those top shelf leaders. And in choosing you and your organization to do the website, you've done it for me in a church side of my world.
Yep.
And now you're doing it for us on our must side of the world. And there's a lot of people out there that offer a lot of the things that your organization does, but they don't have you at the helm. And the great team that you've assembled around you, and being able to sit in our boardroom and to interact with your team and to make that choice says an awful lot about you. So what you're talking about today is something that you practice, sir. And so
I appreciate that.
I appreciate it and love your family and appreciate them as well.
Cool. Yeah, appreciate you and all you bring to the community and all your different roles. And yeah, I'll put links to those places in the show notes so people can find you. And yeah, always appreciate your time.
Hey, you're welcome. And if you live in this area, come visit us at Piedmont Church. We're better than Chick-fil-A. We're open on Sundays.
There you go. Perfect. Thanks. See you.